In this video, I'm going to give you a web developer roadmap based on my experience as a full stack developer. The goal of this video is really to get you a web developer job in as simple of a way as possible, so as fast as possible. Now, in case you don't know, my name is Louis and I've been a full stack developer since 2017. I've actually interviewed candidates for web development jobs, so I know what employers, what companies actually look for in a candidate. So everything that I've included in this web developer roadmap is going to help you get hired by actual companies. I'm going to mention a bunch of resources during this video, and so I'm going to put the links to all of those resources in the description box down below. The roadmap that I've created for this video is actually designed to just keep things very simple. So all the stuff that you don't need to learn, I've just left it out. All right, so the first step of the roadmap is really to set objectives. So first of all, I want to talk about the terminology here. So there are two types of web developers. You have the front-end developers that code sort of the visual aspect of things. They code web pages and stuff like that. It's mostly just web pages and their components. Now, it sounds simple when I explain it like that, but it's really not that simple. And then you have the back-end developers. The back-end developers actually code the stuff that is non-visual. So all the under the hood sort of services, dealing with databases, dealing with data, dealing with APIs and stuff like that. Now, as a full stack developer myself, I can sort of compare the two, front-end development and back-end development. I can tell you that actually back-end development has a broader sort of scope of things that you need to learn, and there are less jobs. It's not that there are less jobs. If you choose to be a front-end developer, the jobs that you're going to be able to get are much more standard. I've talked about this in another video, but you have the React developers, you have the Angular developers, you have the Vue developers, and it's okay if you don't know all of these technologies, but the point is, front-end developers are going to have much more standard positions when compared with back-end developers. So for example, on Indeed, you actually have 14K plus React jobs for front-end developers, whereas if I take another technology for back-end development like Django, you only have 1,200 jobs. So my point here is, instead of trying to become a full-stack developer like me or trying to become a back-end developer, my recommendation would actually be to become a front-end developer. All right, now step number 2, now that we have established the objectives, is to get a broad overview of web development. Again, I'm going to assume in this video that you're going to go for front-end development, not full stack and not back-end. However, in this step 2, you need to get a broad overview of web development, and that does include back-end. So you need to know about obviously HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and a back-end framework like Node.js. Now here, I'm going to assume that as an aspiring front-end developer, you're going to use the React framework. And the reason for this is React is by far the most popular front-end framework, guaranteeing much more opportunities for you. And the reason really for this broad overview here is that later on, when you actually dive into the technologies that you need to learn, you actually have the knowledge so that you don't get stuck on very small problems. In addition, most jobs, even if you're specialized with a certain technology like React, they sort of expect you to actually know at least a little bit of Node.js or a little bit of just back-end development in general. All right, now step 3 is really diving into the world of React development. And by this, I mean you need to learn about obviously React, Redux, the hooks that exist in React and how to build your own hooks, GraphQL, REST APIs, and very important is to actually build your own portfolio of projects, meaning that, when you learn about React, it shouldn't be all theoretical. Most of your time learning React should be spent actually coding and making projects that your future employer can actually see. All right, now that you know about React, let's move on to step 4. And step 4 is to learn how to behave as a professional developer. And here I'm going to suggest that you read the Clean Coder book. Clean Coder is a book that is going to help you in your career in the sense that it's going to tell you exactly how to behave when, for example, a project manager comes to you and says, okay, can we move the deadline a week or something like that? Or can we change this? Can we change that? All the typical scenarios that you're going to meet in a software development job, pretty much all of those are going to be covered in Clean Coder. This is really an excellent book, and the author is very well known for the book Clean Code. All right, now step 5 is to actually prepare for the technical interview. So what, software developers call the coding interview. Knowing about React and knowing about web development is often not going to be enough to actually get a job in tech. And the reason for this is you need to actually know about algorithms and data structures. Typically, when you're at an interview for a software development job, they're going to ask you certain questions about algorithms and data structures. And the way this is going to be presented is through some sort of interactive problems, maybe on a board, probably more commonly on a computer. So you're going to have a problem that you're going to need to solve with a programming language. As a front-end developer, you're probably going to be doing it with JavaScript. There's really nothing to be scared of here. This is just something that you need to prepare for. I would recommend actually taking a look at HackerRank. It's a website with a lot of, typical problems that are asked during coding interviews, and it's completely free. And finally, step 6 is to actually prepare for the behavioral interview. If you're going to get a software development job, it's not just going to be about the technologies. They're going to ask you, how do you behave in this case? How do you behave in this case? And so on. And so if you've actually done step 4 and read Clean Coder, then you're already somewhat prepared for the behavioral interview. But there's another book that I think is pretty nice. You should read Cracking the Behavioral Interview for Software Engineers. And this is pretty much going to cover all the typical questions that you may be asked during a behavioral interview. All right, so now you have the roadmap for becoming a web developer. I'm going to suggest a few programs that actually cover everything I've talked about in this video. So you'll find the links to those programs in the description box. I just want to be totally transparent in that actually those programs are going to be affiliate links, meaning that if you actually spend money on those programs, I do get a small commission and it helps support my channel. So it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're interested in becoming a web developer, then take a look at my educative.io review. I think it's a really good site for learning programming and it's pretty affordable. All right, see you next time.